My name is Daniel Reeves. I'm a 42-year-old civil engineer who bought a modest three-bedroom house on Maplewood Lane 8 years ago after my divorce. The street is quiet, lined with older homes and working families. I chose it because it felt stable, predictable, until it wasn't. Every morning at 6:45 a.m., like clockwork, a gleaming white Porsche 911 Carrera would roll into my driveway and sit there until almost 9 o'clock. The driver never knocked, never asked. He simply parked, killed the engine, and left the car blocking my garage door like he owned the place. I had to back my 10-year-old Toyota Camry out onto the street at an awkward angle just to get to work. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe the kid was lost. But after the third day, I stepped outside in my work boots and waved him down as he strolled back toward the car. "Excuse me," I said politely. "This is my driveway. You can't park here." The young man, no older than 23, looked at me like I had interrupted his phone call. He had that effortless rich kid posture, designer sunglasses, perfectly messy hair, and the kind of smug half-smile that suggested the world had always bent to his convenience. "It's just for a couple hours, man. My girlfriend lives across the street. Your driveway is the only spot with shade." He shrugged as if that explained everything. "There's a visitor parking area 2 blocks down," I replied, keeping my voice even. "Or you can park in front of her house if she allows it." He laughed. "Bro, you're really making a big deal out of this?" Before I could answer, the front door of the large house directly across the street opened. A woman in her late 40s stepped out wearing expensive activewear and oversized sunglasses. She marched across the road like she was entering a battlefield. "What is going on here?" she demanded, voice sharp enough to cut glass. "Why are you harassing my son?" I explained the situation calmly. Her name, I would later learn, was Vanessa Harrington. The neighbors called her Karen behind her back, and the nickname fit perfectly. "My son is visiting his girlfriend. He's not hurting anyone. This is a free country. If you have a problem, call the police instead of bullying a young man." That was day 4. By day 10, I had called the police 3 times. Each time, the officers issued a warning or a small ticket that disappeared like smoke. The Porsche kept returning. Sometimes it was parked at a slight angle, sometimes perfectly centered, always blocking my garage. I started waking up earlier just to move my car to the street the night before. I tried notes on the windshield. Polite ones. Then firmer ones. They were crumpled and tossed on my lawn. I installed a small security camera aimed at the driveway. The footage showed the same pattern. Tyler Harrington arriving, parking, and walking away without a care. One evening I knocked on the Harringtons' door. Vanessa answered with a wine glass in her hand. "Mrs. Harrington, this has been going on for weeks. I need you to tell your son to stop." She rolled her eyes. "Daniel, is it? Look, Tyler is a good boy. He's under a lot of stress with his internship at his father's firm. You should be more understanding. Not everyone can afford to live in a house with their own driveway, you know." The condescension was thick enough to taste. I documented everything. Photos, timestamps, police reports. I even contacted the city about parking enforcement. They promised to look into it. Nothing changed. Then came the morning that broke me. It was raining hard. I had an important client meeting at 8:30 a.m. and needed to load some rolled blueprints into my car. When I opened the garage door, the Porsche was parked so close that my garage door scraped lightly against its rear bumper. Tyler was still in the driver's seat, scrolling on his phone. I tapped on the window. He lowered it just enough to speak. "What?" "I need to get my car out. Now. I have a meeting." He sighed theatrically. "Give me 5 minutes." I waited 10. The rain soaked through my shirt. When he finally pulled out, he did it so carelessly that his rear tire clipped the edge of my lawn, tearing up the grass I had spent weekends maintaining. That night I sat at my kitchen table reviewing the security footage and the stack of tickets that had gone unpaid. I realized something important. Tyler and his mother didn't see consequences. They had money, connections, and an unshakable belief that rules were for other people. I decided I wouldn't fight them on their terms anymore. I would use the system they ignored, patiently, thoroughly, and completely. First, I consulted a lawyer who specialized in property disputes. She confirmed what I already suspected. Repeated trespassing and blocking access could build a strong case. More importantly, she introduced me to the concept of abandoned vehicle procedures and local ordinances about chronic parking violations. I began filing formal complaints with the city's code enforcement office every single day the Porsche appeared. I attached timestamped photos, video evidence, and previous police reports. At the same time, I had my lawyer send a certified letter to the Harrington residents demanding they cease the trespassing. Vanessa responded by posting on the neighborhood Facebook group about the bitter divorced man across the street who is bullying her poor son. Some neighbors sided with her. Others stayed silent. A few quietly messaged me their support. The turning point came in the fourth week. The city finally issued a hefty fine and a tow warning. Tyler ignored it. 2 days later, the Porsche was towed at 7:15 a.m. while Tyler was still inside his girlfriend's house. I watched from my window as the flatbed truck hauled it away. For the first time in weeks, my driveway was clear. Tyler and Vanessa exploded. They showed up at my door that evening with threats of lawsuits and accusations of sabotage. I simply showed them the certified letter and the growing stack of official notices. They stormed off. The car was returned after payment of several $1,000s in fees. I thought maybe that would be the end. It wasn't. 3 days later, the Porsche was back in my driveway. This time at 6:30 a.m. Tyler had started coming even earlier, as if to punish me for the inconvenience. That was when I changed strategy again. I researched vehicle impoundment laws more deeply. With consistent documentation, repeated violations could lead to longer impound periods and escalating fines. If the owner failed to claim the vehicle after a certain period, it could be auctioned or, in extreme cases of unpaid storage and violations, disposed of. I kept documenting. The city code enforcement officer, a tired but fair man named Mr. Ramirez, started recognizing my case. He told me off the record that he had seen this pattern before: entitled kids with powerful parents. Keep the paper trail clean, he advised. Eventually, the system catches up. It took another month of daily violations, towed twice more, thousands in accumulated fines, and mounting storage fees at the impound lot. Tyler's father, a successful corporate lawyer, tried to intervene. He made calls. He sent strongly worded letters. But the documentation was ironclad. Even his influence had limits when faced with hundreds of pages of evidence. The final morning arrived on a crisp Tuesday in October. The Porsche sat in my driveway again. But this time, when the tow truck arrived, it didn't just take the car. Because of the chronic nature of the violations and the unpaid fees that now exceeded the value of the car itself, the vehicle was marked for disposal. The city had the legal right to auction it, but due to the damage from previous tows, missed maintenance claims, and the sheer volume of violations, it was ultimately condemned and sent to a scrapyard. I didn't celebrate loudly. I simply stood in my driveway as the flatbed carried the once pristine Porsche away for the last time. 2 weeks later, I received official confirmation. The vehicle had been crushed into scrap metal. The insurance company and the impound facility had closed the matter. The driveway was finally, permanently mine again. Tyler never parked there again. In fact, he stopped coming to the street altogether. Vanessa's Facebook posts became increasingly unhinged before she deleted them. The neighborhood grew quieter. I didn't destroy the car out of rage. I didn't smash it with a bat or key it in anger. I simply refused to accept disrespect and used every legal tool available until the consequences became too heavy for even their money to lift. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't loud or dramatic. It's patient, methodical, papered in triplicate. 6 months later, I was watering the lawn, the same lawn Tyler had torn up, when an older neighbor stopped by. "You know," he said, "a lot of us were watching how you handled that. Most people would have lost their temper. You didn't. You just won." I smiled faintly. I didn't want to win. I just wanted to use my own driveway. That evening, as the sun set behind the houses, I sat on my porch with a cup of coffee. The driveway was empty and peaceful. No white Porsche. No entitled stares. Just the quiet satisfaction of a problem solved the right way. The system works when you make it work. And sometimes, a spoiled kid with a rich mother learns the hardest lesson of all. Your money can't buy other people's boundaries. Not forever.